Hey, how y'all doing? My name's Michael, and this is the beginning of my journey. About 6 months in is when the process started. So I'm moving from a teacher to a trucker. So I just wanted to take a few minutes and um, record where my journey is, so that I can. I always like to learn from looking back to where I was. So this will allow me an opportunity, and anyone else who's interested, to follow along with the journey. So, like I said, my name's Michael. I'm a husband, a father of two, and I've been teaching in the public school system for several years now. I love what I do. I love teaching my kids. I teach intensive reading, which is essentially I'm teaching students, and the most struggling students, how to read. Um, that's all I've ever taught. That's what I teach. I have opportunities to teach social studies or English, but I teach the kids I do because those are the ones I love teaching. However, my wife and I are looking to homeschool our kids, and I need to make some changes so that we can afford for her to stay home and continue to teach our children herself. So it's necessitated a change in the career path that I'm on, and I'm looking at therefore being a trucker, looking probably at flatbed. Um, so we'll get into that a little bit over the course of the next videos and whatnot, maybe. Um, so what are my goals? My goals, first of all, I have some notes here, so you just have to bear with me a little bit. I want to be able to take charge more directly of my personal income. As a public school teacher, no matter how hard I work, whether I work 100 hours a week or I work 25 hours a week, depending on what you qualify as actually working, I get paid the same. I get paid a salary. It's not uncommon for people. I'm not knocking it at all. But I need more potential more quickly than I can get from working as a teacher right now. I've been classified as highly effective just about every year I've taught. That's a blessing from the Lord. He's blessed my students, and I value that a lot. So my trajectory has gone up quickly in my pay scale, but it's just not going up quickly enough. I'd have to teach about another 10 or 12 years to be where we need to be for my wife to be able to stay home, and that's just not realistic. So, as I mentioned, my wife would be going to be homeschooling our girls. She is currently a high school teacher through a virtual platform here in Florida. She's been doing that. She loves it. But her future in her desire is to stay home and take care of our girls. That's her passion. That's what she wants to do. And as her husband, I want her to be able to have that fulfillment that she seeks. And then maybe another goal, perhaps long term, is to own my own company, or my own truck at least. Currently, my brother-in-law owns his own car hauler, and so I've had the opportunity to watch, observe, ask a lot of questions, and get some insight into the field. So, where am I in the process? When this has been a desire in the back of my mind since I was 18, 19 years old. I thought maybe I'd be a trucker. But it took a lot of swerves and curves throughout life, and the opportunity came back around. About 6 months ago, the idea was fresh in my mind, and my wife happened to say something, and we found ourselves on the same page. So normally when I see something like that, I start heading in the direction that we're going. And if something happens and doors close, or it becomes evident that that's not where the Lord would have me go, I want to be obedient and responsive. But it just seems a lot of things are happening that are opening the door for that path. So about 6 months ago, we started thinking about it, we started talking about it, started doing some research into various trucking companies where I would want to land. And then within the last month or two, I've started looking at the specific schools. I was down to 3 schools I was looking for attending here in the Jacksonville area. One of them, they only teach automatic, so that was a no-go for me automatically. Even though a lot of the trucking companies are going to have the automatics, I don't want the restriction on my license. So for me, that was a non-starter. Then my wife is like, "You need to go visit the schools." I would have been content just kind of choosing the school and going, showing up first day one. But she's like, "No, if we're going to spend that much money, you should go." So she was right. Guys, listen to your wives. A lot of times there's wisdom there in that partnership. So I went to the one that I was actually thinking I was going to go to, and there wasn't a bad vibe. It just didn't wow me, and I had set up an appointment for the next week to attend another school here in Jacksonville, and from the moment I got there, it's just like, wow, the people, just the down home feel made me feel welcome. The facilities were looked great, but it's not always the appearance. I mean, it's the people that made me feel welcome, and the facilities were just more of an extension. So I'll be going there starting June 21st, which allows me opportunity to finish out the school year. I am currently still teaching, and I do believe when possible you finish out your obligations, your commitments. So that's my desire to do so. So I've chosen my school. The next thing, so what's next, and then I have a takeaway. So this video won't be too terribly long, is finish school. First of all, the school year, and then that'll give me a couple weeks home with my family before I start the CDL school. I do already have my permit, so I don't have to worry about the medical and all that stuff. I've already passed that. The CDL permit was more a check to see, am I on something that I can do. So yeah, so now I just need to go through the process of the schooling, pass the CDL, get my license, and I already know what company I want to go to. I'm going to hold off on saying it right now because obviously there's no affiliation with anyone at this point. But I know where I want to go, but I also want to leave the door open for change, see whatever opportunities come along. So takeaway from this, if I were watching a video, I want something to learn. The first thing is position yourself so that you can plan. There's not a whole lot worse, especially as a husband and a father, than finding yourself in a situation where you're reactionary versus proactive, you're planning. So whenever possible, and this requires looking at your finances, having the relationships within your own marriage and your family, those around you where you can talk and get advice. So plan, put yourself in a position where you can afford that time, so you're not having to make the spur of the moment changes. Now, I know that makes sense to everyone, and it sounds great for you, but I realize life happens, so not all people are in that position. However, the takeaway for those who don't have that opportunity is start looking at the decisions and where they're at in their journey right now, and start trying to make goals, start trying to say, okay, how do I get there from where I'm at here? So it does give you the opportunity to learn from where you've been and plan for the future. You're just in the process already, or in the midst of it. Then the last one is, don't be too quick to settle. Look at your options. Position yourself so that you can view options. Always look for options. Don't settle for whatever the first thing comes along. As I mentioned with the schooling, there's a school I was very much had set on going. So I would have been content not going to the school. But because I was willing to listen to my wife's counsel, I went and visited. And it's not the school, as ironic as it is. The school that I'm going to is one that when I first looked online and started doing some research, I just flat out said, no, I'm not going there. And that was my mindset, because something about it, when just looking online, I just didn't have peace or the vibe or something. And as it turned out, going to visit is just, I'm glad that I was slow, took counsel from those around me, and was teachable. So That last part's going to come into play quite a bit as we progress through the videos, because as someone who is a teacher, that's one of the main focal points for these videos. I believe in continually learning. It's not something where I have all the answers. I'm going to make mistakes, and that's part of why I'm doing the videos, so that 6 months from now, a year from now, I can come back and look at the videos and compare to where I'm at now, see if I need to make some modifications or adjustments, and I can start learning. Tell my kids all the time, I said, if you're not learning, you're not growing. So that's it in a nutshell. Again, my name's Michael. I'll be putting these videos out as I progress through the journey, and as we go, just keep learning.